Hi, I'm Igor Sandman. I'm a pixel artist. I make a pixel art piece every day. Today the topic is baked beans, and I'm thinking maybe I could do a still life. It's been a while. I love creating characters, but sometimes the topic is not easy to transform into a character picture. Yesterday the topic was a photo frame. I was tempted to go to make a still life, but I managed to find a way to make a character out of it. Today I'm not even going to try. I got a question on YouTube from Pablo. Yet another question on colors. You guys seem to like colors, which is great. Can you talk a little bit about your color palette, why you always use the same, and why it always works? So it's a generic question, but actually not that much. First, this isn't working. I will get the shape done and then I'll get back to the question. I need to make sure it's working before I delve deeper. Alright, so I got the silhouette. I would like to get the inside. It's not gonna be easy to get the perfect circle. Maybe this will work. This will probably be a short one. Still life are often shorter. Because they're rather easy to make, unless it's a complicated shape, but here it's not really that complicated, right? Alright, so to get back to the question, first part of the question, why you always use the same color palette? Well, actually I don't always use the same palette, but I've been using this one for a while, and I will probably continue using it a lot. Before that I was using this one, and it evolved over time. At first it was going to about here, so all these colors. So in terms of size, it was similar to this. And then I kept adding and adding and adding. And after a while, it didn't work together anymore. The colors didn't work together. So I started simplifying it and working on this one. But the overall theme of this one is saturation. If I wanted to do something that's not saturated, I would have a hard time with this. So which is why I'm not... I can't say I will use this forever. I might. It's still going to be one of my favorite because I really enjoy working with it. But I might go back to a more desaturated one. Towards the end here, you can see that all the colors that I had that I added after a while, from here, I guess, I started adding a few desaturated ones, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy playing with these. Anyways, this one is very saturated, and the reason why I keep using a palette as opposed to always picking my colors like this, the reason why is because when you decide, trying to figure out the best way to explain this. Deciding a color, that when you are on a specific spot in your picture and you are deciding what color you want to use for it, like right now I'm figuring out which color I want to use for the shadow under the ball right here. Deciding that color is actually two steps. First is deciding what type of color you're going to use. In this case it's a light blue. I decide I want a light blue, but there's a second part to the question, which light blue? And I think it's very important to make the distinction between the two, because oftentimes what makes good colors on a picture is not the second part of the question. It's not which blue I decided to use for my shadow. It's the fact that I decided to use a light blue for my shadow. That's very important. Same for here. I decided to use this dark saturated brown. That's the idea I had in mind. But which dark saturated brown am I going to use? And the palette is answering the second part of the question. It's taking it out of the equation, so I don't have to think about it. So it's a tool, basically. The color palette is not deciding how your image is going to look, not that much. What is deciding what your picture is going to look like is the first part of the question. You know, what kind of color, what archetype of color are you going to use? So then it becomes a matter of figuring out what archetypes you need in your specific palette. So here I had to decide. I should describe to you how I create a color palette, what I think about. First, I know that the topic of the theme of this is saturation, as I explained. So I can decide of an overall saturation, like this. Then I pick a value. So this is the value, this axis, and this one is the saturation. So I pick, I don't worry about the hue for now, and I pick a color that is of the saturation that I need for the overall palette, and a hue that is about 2/3 up, something like this. And then I go through the hues, and I pick one red, one orange, one yellow, one green, one teal, one blue, one purple, maybe a pink, and that's it. And then for each of these, let's say I am on red, I make sure I have at least 3, well, not always, but an average of 3 colors, depending on what I need. An average of 3 different colors for the same hue. So for the red, I will get a lighter red. The red is not the best example, because for red I will go towards orange to light it. Let's take purple as an example. So I get a rather light purple like this, and then I take a lighter one, maybe like this one, and then a darker one, maybe this one. So I've got 3 purples that I can add to my palette, and I do that for all the hues. And so that's basically what I got here, you know. I've got 3 purples plus an extra dark one, 3 blues plus an extra dark one, 3 teal plus an extra dark one, 3 greens, and I added an extra light one because the greens are very common in pictures for vegetation and whatnot, and I added an extra dark one. Same for the brown. Again, it's very often probably the most commonly seen in nature is brown. So I would add a very light one like this and a very dark one, and then a few pinks. And the red is very different. Well, at least in my opinion, the way I use it. I will darken it with purple, another purple different than these one, more shifted towards red, of course. And then I would light it with orange and a bunch of yellows, and then one last thing is skin tones. Here I've got well, basically four skin tones plus a very light one. This one is the same as this one. It's a bit confusing, but and then a bunch of grays, a black and a white. And that's how I make my color palettes. I had sometimes a few desaturated ones because this palette is very saturated, so I added a few desaturated ones so I can use for two occasions, either for a background, or if I got a bunch of green and I want another green on the picture, I could use these. So that was a bit of a tangent, realizing. Why I'm using a color palette. Well, I think that answers your question. What was the second part? I know that was the deep part of the question. Why it always worked? Why it always works? That's a deep question, man. I don't know. I think, well, here's what I think. I believe if your palette has all the variations that you need, the thing that I just explained, like all your hues plus a brown plus skin tones plus the greens, the grays, and enough variation for each hue, I think the actual colors don't matter, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure you could mess up with these colors. I could send you the picture, you mess up with the colors, and I could create a picture out of it. Pretty sure. As long as the light green remains a light green, there's not much you can do to this, you know? Like, for it to remain a light green, what can you do? Maybe shift it towards blue. Light it a little bit more. But you see the difference? Not much, right? You could shift it a little bit more, but at some point it will become a teal, so it's no longer the same hue. So if I had this, I could make the exact same picture. It doesn't really matter. The thing that could matter if throughout the evolution of values, the hue is shifting in opposite directions. Like if the dark one is shifted towards blue, then the middle one is shifted toward yellow, and then the next one again towards blue. That might create a bit of inconsistencies, but pretty sure you could make it work anyway. So what makes the palette works? I don't think anything makes the palette work, man. Unless it's very limited, obviously. If you're using the Nest palette or something, it might be a bit too limited. You don't have all of these. I tried to play with, I only made one pixel art with it, with the Amstrad CPC color palette. Super hard to use. It's fun, but it's super hard to use, man. I dropped it. I quit. It's too hard for me. I will probably get back to it, but I don't enjoy when it's too limited. I don't enjoy it. It's a matter of taste, really, but. Creating random shapes here. Trying to get, every time I create a shape, I'm trying to make sure it looks like a round object. Like this one, it doesn't look like a round object, so I'm going to get rid of it and try again. Maybe I add a few spots, like here. Looks nice. Also, I try to never create isolated pixels. I already talked about that. Because it's important to me, at least, to keep the pixel clusters very tight together, more consistent. The picture overall will look more consistent. If you start adding a bunch of isolated pixels, it looks like noise. It depends on your resolution. At this resolution, it kind of works, right? But do I need more? Maybe it works. So more light. It's supposed to be shiny, so I will add a few very bright spots. But I'm not sure what yellow is a good color. Maybe do it white. Oops. Oh well, yeah, the ball is white, so I will try something like this. It won't change much, but still. Don't think it's working. Let's try this. No, I don't like it. I will get rid of it like this, and maybe exaggerate the orange. Yeah, that's probably better. I can't get this one to work. Every time I try something, I just, well, maybe like this. Yeah. We'll add a shadow with pure black. I will try on another layer to play with a circular shape. Something like this. No, that's not working. I should keep it. Maybe here it's working, but not even that. It's better if it's all in one big lump of color. What can I add to this? I am under the impression that it's too disconnected. On another layer, I try to connect everything. I don't know. It's not really working, right? Still better like this. But maybe I should, I don't know, just increase the size of some of the shapes. All right. Something like this. This one is looking a bit odd because of this. Yeah. I think I just need more of them. Even here. It's looking better. I would love to get the blue sky reflection that we see on it. Well, it's more like a specular light, but I'm not sure I can with the resolution that I have. It will look weird, I think. See if I try to do this. I will try this. I will try to keep it and push the color a little bit before I explore further. Actually, this one could work. Maybe more desaturated. I believe it works. What about this one? It's very saturated and it's not very sky. That doesn't look much like sky, but no. I'll use this one. So where should I use it? A little bit here. I noticed when I'm trying to figure out a way to explain to you what goes through my mind when I decide where to put these. If you look at the picture, the specular highlight is happening right around the beans, because I guess the liquid is creating this shape around. You have the bean like this, and you have the liquid that's coming and creating a slight bump because it's thick. And that bump is catching up the light, which is why we see the sky color on this picture. If it was completely flat, we wouldn't see it as much. But here, it's creating some small bumps. They catch the light. So I'm trying to find them and make them catch the light. It's kind of nice. Maybe I'll try another color combination for the ball. I will duplicate it and try a few things. What if I tried dark purple for the shadow? First, let's try purple like this. Maybe brown. The white was making it pop, but I don't know. I want to try something different. How about a green one? That's probably not gonna work. Skin tone. Maybe lighter one. Maybe this one is better than the original. Or maybe I need... Is this... Oops. No, it wasn't my shadow. Alright. Maybe this one is working better. I don't know. This, for some reason, it's making it look like a breakfast. This a little bit less. But I think I prefer the white one. It pops very clearly because of the contrast. This brown is quite dark, especially compared to white. So do I want to add anything? Maybe a few specular highlights on the beans, not too much. Still not sure about the skylight. I'll try this one, which is lighter and more consistent with the rest of the picture also, which is not really an issue, but alright. So I think I added too much specular highlight. The skylight is too much. That's better. Now, one last thing. I'm not very happy with the... Oh, I see. It seems it wasn't mirrored. The curve seemed a bit odd, like this, but actually it wasn't mirrored apparently. So now it is, and it looks much better. Still not sure I want to keep this right here. Maybe I want to do that. But no, I'm pretty sure it's better like this. Alright, do I want to add something? I don't think so. Still believe I've got too much blue going on inside. Maybe a few dots would be enough, like this. I'm increasing the shadow. And I should probably try and get a shadow going on here. Maybe not. I'm not sure it's better actually. This has a lot of, it creates a thicker outline like this. It looks like the bowl is thicker. Prefer it that way. Alright, I think I will keep it as it is. Maybe I'll try something just to create some interest to the picture. I will try and get a line going along the ball to add some design. Let's see, I will start here so I can use this as a reference. I'm not sure it's going to work, which is why I added it on another layer. But it will serve two purposes. First, breaking the shape here, and two, it will create a nice effect on the shadow because I will have red that shifts towards purple. Like so. And then the shadow. Actually, it might be too high. Yeah, it's better like this. So now I need to correct this. Certainly is more interesting with it. It doesn't change the picture much, right? But Still adds a little bit of interest to it. I shouldn't have an highlight here because it's supposed to be slightly underneath, right? The ball is curved, so there's no highlight. There's no reason why I would have an highlight over there, since the light is coming from the top. The only place I would have an highlight on this, on the ball itself, would be on the edge, but since it's white, we don't see it. What do I do? Do I keep it? Do I remove it? I guess I should keep it. I will try to make it thicker on another layer, so if I want to come back to what I had, I can do it quickly. Actually, that's much better. I like it like this. Alright, I shouldn't spend too much time on this. I will leave it like this for today. So guys, if you have questions or suggestions, leave a comment down below or come talk to me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever you like. Okay? I see you around. Bye bye.